Here with Creighton Baughman to preview the 2023-24 Concordia Wrestling season. As we record this, pretty close to the first duel, which will start this season on November 1st against Midland here at home. Wanted to start off with a little bit about your background, Creighton. I know you came here from Iowa Western Community College. What were kind of the circumstances that led you to become a Bulldog?
Yeah, so I was very blessed to go to Iowa Western for 2 years, and then ultimately fell short of achieving my goal of being a national champion there. And then I wasn't really sure what my next step was going to be, and the coach at Iowa Western reached out and he said, "Hey, one of my old wrestlers, Chase Clayson, is taking over at Concordia." And I knew that I wanted to be close to home in Omaha. That's where I've always lived. That's where all my family is. And then he linked us up. I met with Coach Clayson and took a visit here, and I really fell in love with the faith-based atmosphere here, and I saw the vision that Coach Clayson had, and ultimately I ended up choosing Concordia.
Was that kind of your first introduction then to Concordia, that whole process?
Yeah, growing up in Nebraska as a high school wrestler, actually I remember coming here for one of our Fargo camps, so I was fairly familiar. I remember staying at the dorms, and I remember the wrestling room, and obviously Fargo camp is a fairly grueling experience, so it stuck with me a little bit. But yeah, I remember doing jumps and sprints up and down the football field, and I always thought that it was really cool to have the field kind of in the center of campus like that, so that stuck with me. And like I said, I was fairly familiar with the wrestling room, locker room, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned the connection with Coach Clayson there. You knew he was a young coach just getting started at Concordia himself. What kind of won you over about maybe some of the things that he had to say?
Yeah, he was very straightforward. He had a vision. I knew he was successful when he ran the North Idaho program. I know they were the top team in the country. I knew he was very straightforward and very simple. You know, we're going to work hard, we're going to do the right things, and then success will come from that. And I think it really is that simple, whether it be in wrestling or life. You want to do something. Ultimately, if you work hard and do all the right things, you have a pretty good chance of accomplishing those goals.
Well, there were a lot of good things that happened in year one at Concordia. You had a chance to go to nationals. How do you assess kind of how that first year went for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was a great introduction to NAIA and wrestling at this level. Did a lot of good things and a lot to build from. Ultimately, the feeling of going to nationals and falling short of your goals it sticks with you. With wrestling, you can earn it every single day, and I feel like I did earn it in the wrestling room, off the mat, but ultimately when it comes down to it, you have to be able to take it when the moment is there, and like I said, I fell short of that goal, so more motivated than ever for this upcoming season.
Mm-hmm. I understand. I think that you're someone that people look to in the wrestling room to set an example of what are the ways you try to maybe set that example with just your work ethic and the things you're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, I'm not a very vocal leader, so I try my best to lead by example, and that's to not overcomplicate it. It's just doing the simple things the right way, showing up on time, not missing a practice, being disciplined in my diet, whatever it takes. Really, we only get, first, as lucky as we are to be able to compete in college, we only get 4 or 5 years, and then we have the rest of our lives to slack off or do whatever we want to do after that. So while I get these 4 or 5 years in college wrestling, I want to make the absolute most of them, and that way 10 years down the road I'm not living with regret saying, I wish I was more disciplined there, or I wish I would have done that better.
Just expanding on some of the things you've already mentioned about Concordia, now that you do have a full year under your belt here, how does kind of Concordia suit the things you were looking for from a college experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost is it's a faith-based atmosphere, and while I've always known that God loved me, I'm still fairly new to religion, and even just these last probably 4 or 5 years, my family and I, we've really went all in on seeing what God has in store for us and doing our best to love Him. And I think coming to Concordia and even taking some of the basic Old Testament, New Testament theology classes has, completely opened my eyes and really helped me see who God is and what He has planned for me and how much He loves us.
Kind of going back to your roots again, as you mentioned, from Papillion, the Omaha area. How did wrestling kind of first start to become part of your life?
Yeah, I was between my grandparents, my dad, and my uncle. I was wrestling or in wrestling shoes probably from the time I was 3 years old. I've always grown up around the sport. Every winter, that was just what I came to expect, and then it got to the point where winter became year-round, training freestyle and Greco in the summer, and so it's, for the most part, it's all I've ever known. It's pretty much always been a part of my life, and it's blessed me with so many opportunities, whether that be here or whether that be with relationships I've made through the sport. I'm so thankful for the sport of wrestling.
Just from last season, I know as a team, expectations, I think, outside of the Concordia Wrestling room were low, and you guys were able to surpass those, and even tied a school record for dual wins in a season as a team. Why do you guys think you're able to kind of achieve some of those things?
Yeah, obviously I think Coach Clayson was very straightforward with what our vision was, and we were going to do things the right way. And if you weren't here to do things the right way, then this program is not, it might not be suited for you. And I also think of some of our senior leaders last year, guys like Isaiah Burks, Jose Sanchez, and Tavares, and there's a few of them, but they also helped a lot of these younger guys say, hey, you want to be successful at this level. Some days are going to be rough. Some days are going to be hard. Some practices you're going to get beat up on, but that's part of the sport. That's what's going to make us better, and then that's ultimately what's gonna make it worth it in the end when we're proving the outside doubters wrong and we're accomplishing these things that we weren't supposed to accomplish.
Well, you mentioned being motivated by what happened at nationals, and now you know what it's like at the NAI level. You experienced that too at junior college level. What is it you feel like you have to do to put yourself on the podium this season?
Yeah, like I said, it's I can earn it every single day, and I will continue to do my absolute best to do that. And then when I get to that national tournament, no matter who they put in front of me, I have to take it. Doesn't matter who it is in front of me; they breathe the same air I do. Just wrestle hard for 7 minutes, and just remember that it's the same wrestling I do in the practice room as I'll do national finals, first day of nationals, whatever it may be. It's the exact same sport, same time period, and just not overcomplicate it, enjoy the process, and like I said, be so thankful for what the sport has given me, and go out with no regrets.
I know it's still early, haven't had any official matches this year, but what do you feel like, or how do you feel like this team might compare to last year, and just how things are coming along from a depth standpoint and a talent standpoint throughout the room?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of good transfers and freshmen coming in, and they bought in right away. Even that first workout, it was a tough one. So I think right away they realized, hey, if you're here, you got to be fully committed here, and they did. They bought in right away, and we've seen it. Whether that was track workouts in the preseason or wrestling workouts in the morning here, they've bought in, and guys are scrapping and bringing the best out of each other, and I think that's just going to correlate to success on the mat throughout the season.
What are your thoughts on those 6 a.m. workouts? I know that's something the team got used to, I think, last year, and you've continued that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Every single morning, when that alarm clock goes off at 5, as much as I want to go back to sleep, I have to remind myself, you only get 4 or 5 years to do this. Why would I sit here and feel sorry for myself when I'll have the rest of my life to sleep in? Why not take advantage of the moment I have now and make the absolute most of the opportunities? So rather than complain, choose to work hard and choose to make the most of it.
Okay, I've had a few quick hitters, but what would be your dream job?
My dream job, that's going to school as long as I have, is what I'm still trying to figure out.
You've got time.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's hard to imagine it won't involve the sport of wrestling. Like I said, at this point, that's all I've ever known. So in some way, shape, or form, I could see myself returning to the sport of wrestling.
You have a favorite athlete that you grew up watching?
I would say probably, I didn't get to grow up watching, but I've always loved Deion Sanders. As a Cowboys fan, I absolutely love just going on YouTube and watching old clips. I used to play cornerback in football, so that was always my favorite. That was my favorite position, and to see someone dominate at the position like he did was super cool for me. So he's always been one of my favorites.
Who's been the most inspiring person to you?
Outside of God, I would say probably my mom. She had me at a very young age, and she went on and got her degree and was able to provide for me and provide for our whole family. And a lot of times I took it for granted, but as I've gotten older, seeing what her and my parents, what they sacrificed for me and the time they committed so that I could live out my dreams of wrestling and help me get to this point, I'm so thankful for them.
So you've lived in Nebraska all your life. What do you appreciate most maybe about just small town Nebraska here?
Yeah, like I said, my whole family's lived in Omaha my whole life, so it's all I've really known. It's a great balance of I can always live in the suburbs of Omaha. I kind of have that small town feel, but then I'm also only 10 minutes away if I want to get into the big city. And I would say the most important thing to me has always been my family. I got 5 younger siblings. I got tons of younger cousins. In my family, every birthday we get together, every holiday we get together, so that means the world to me, and I'll never take that for granted.
What are your thoughts on takedowns now being 3 points?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. It's it's kind of hard to make an opinion yet, as I haven't wrestled a full match with it, but ultimately it's the same sport. You still want to score more points than the other guy, so if that means takedown is always more than an escape or whatever it was, then that's how it is. Same game plan, go out, score points, don't let them score points on me, it's simple as that.
Last thing, what's made wrestling rewarding to you? Because I know it's not an easy thing to do from day to day.
No, it is not. Yeah, wrestling is one sport you don't do for glory. You do it because you know how hard you worked. So even every single match, you can't take it for granted. You have to make the most of it and be proud of what you've accomplished and what went into the hours of practice that went into just a 7-minute match. That's always something to take pride in, and then going on to the real world, that's mentally that really prepares you for just about anything. So like I said, I'm so thankful for the sport of wrestling.